Short answer is the sync agent is an intermediary between music supervisors and artists. And long answer is sync agent is somebody who cares deeply about film and television and wants to bridge the gap between the two and while empowering artists and making a little bit of money for themselves and the artists. Our teacher, Jay Devonish, he talked about sync. It was very brief. It was maybe like 10 to 15 minutes. It was pretty straightforward, so there wasn't that much time spent on it. But at the time, I was really looking to diversify my artist's means of revenue streams. So after that, when I moved to Alberta, I had a lot of time after work. I worked on camp. So after the day, I go back to my room. I bought a bunch of books. Um, I just would watch interviews. I'd watch YouTube videos. I would reach out to other people I knew in that industry for advice. I'd reach out to artists that would have placements and just get their experience and their feedback. And I would just do my own kind of self-learning for a few years until I was confident enough to kind of start my own business. So no specific training or school. I mean, that 15 minutes at Remix was the most I learned. But I think there was specific training in a sense. In whereas when I was a DJ in the city for 10 years, there's a lot of, I guess, communication that has to happen. You have to kind of be out there in the public eye. You're reaching out to people, you're getting bookings, you're greeting fans, whatever it is. So you learn how to kind of communicate and talk with certain people. So I think that really highlighted certain things for me when reaching out to artists and reaching out to music supervisors. Artists are very finicky, so entrusting you with a part of their career is hard. So you kind of have to know how to talk to them and how to disseminate information to them and stuff like that. So I think being a DJ for so long helped with that. So not really specific training, but just life experience, I'd say. So I think they differ mostly through responsibility. So I actually work at a label now. So my responsibilities there as a market manager and A&R are a lot. I have to create budgets, crunch numbers. I have to create projections. I have to create strategies, marketing strategies, rollout plans, timelines. I have to reach out to artists and, just the whole music side of thing and putting certain artists together and getting things mixed and mastered. So there's a lot of responsibility there on the label side of things. Whereas a sync agent, your sole responsibility is to represent your artist. And the best way to do that is to know your artist, know their music. Um, Other than that, you're reaching out to supervisors and you're communicating and liaison with them and disseminating information back to your artists on timelines or if a placement is going through, if you got the confirmation, if the money's coming in, all the kind of stuff when it's airing. So I'd say the main space where they differ is responsibility, whereas a sync agent has less responsibility than a label or publisher as well. Some publishers do dabble in sync, but for the most part, they deal with like the back end money and just connecting artists with other artists so that they can kind of sell music to them. So I work with a lot of people, mainly artists, producers for sure, because lots of different pieces of TV and film content ask for just instrumentals. So definitely work with producers as well. I also work with companies. So the label that I work for now, Public Records, I also am the sync agent for all of our artists, our distributed artists and our signed artists on the label as well. And there are a couple other companies that have approached me to work with them as well. But I don't like to have a huge roster because I'm very in tune with my artists. I make sure I know all their names, all their lyrics. I can pull up, if a brief asks for a breakup mood, I can go through the Rolodex in my mind and I know exactly what songs to hit from which artist. I listen to a lot of hip hop and R&B, obviously, and I listen to a lot of Canadian music because I mainly want to rep Canadian artists. My goal is to be the guy in Canada that has the best hip hop and R&B music. So I take time and I listen to them as much as I can. While working with the label, it's super easy because that's what I do anyway. It's a part of my job anyway, so it works hand in hand. But even before that, um, I would just, go through Spotify playlists, Instagram. If I see an artist that, looks interesting to me, I'd take a listen. And then from there, if the music is good and I think it has potential to be in something, then I reach out and I start talking to them. And then it comes down to how the artist is, what their vibe is. Do we get along? Do we mesh? Now, I don't want to work with everybody that has good music. I want to work with people who have good music that I can vibe with, because that's what it comes down to. As the agent, I'm not just after money. I'm looking to help your career. I'm not just looking to put money in your pocket. I want to be a part of your history and I want you to be a part of mine. I kind of look for artists that know who they are as an artist and know their sound and have some type of understanding about the music industry. I guess how long the process could be sometimes. Sometimes the process could be almost a year for a sync to fully go through. Um, from start to finish, my first placement was 8 months. From the first call to the show airing and payment was 8 months. So um, if you understand how long the process could be, you're not relying on, you know, the revenue from that. You're obviously going to look for other streams. You're going to be constantly looking for other placements and stuff. So understand that, yeah, it can take a very long time. It can be quick as well. It just depends on the network and who you're working with. Another thing I'd say is find your niche. Find what you want to do. So like, yes, there are eclectic agents and eclectic libraries, and that's great. But if you have a niche, if you have a certain genre that you love, try and rep that. Go for that. Like, reach for that. Um, and kind of stand out. That will help you to stand out from other agents and other companies and stuff like that. For artists and managers to learn as much about this as possible. Take the time. It's simple to learn. It's harder to do. It takes, like I said, it takes a lot of patience. But once you understand that this is a viable means of revenue, like you might start creating music specifically for sync, and there are people that have careers based off of just creating music specifically for sync. So take time and just learn what it is. If you're passionate about music and you love watching TV shows and you love watching movies, it's a great fit for you then. But it all comes with education and just learning and figuring it out. Like, okay, cool, this is actually something that I'd like to do. This is something that I want to dabble in. And as a manager, um, it's a potential revenue stream for you as well. Like I started managing and then I got into sync, and the two kind of work hand in hand. Because I talk to a lot of managers, and as a manager, I'm going to be talking to sync agents and music supervisors as well. So like everything in the music industry can kind of like Lego piece fit together. So it's just about finding those Lego pieces. A lot of being a sync agent, you're going to spend a lot of time doing research and just trying to find email addresses and names for people and finding out what they're working on. So I'd say read credits. Credits will give you the name. Hop on to IMDb. You can kind of see what they're working on in some cases. And then do your Googles for the email. Once you get an email, reach out, be courteous. Don't pester them. Just give them time and they'll get back to you. But at the same time, you also deal with a lot of rejection. You might not get every response that you want. You might not get an email back. But when you do, it's great. And again, just, take time and foster that relationship and let it blossom naturally. Some more advice just for everybody in the industry. If you're an artist, if you're a manager, if you're a sync agent, get out to sync conferences, get out to sync summits, music conferences, festivals, all that kind of stuff. And that's where you'll have those face-to-face interactions with the supervisors and just other people in sync. It's not only supervisors, sometimes it's directors, sometimes it's editors, sometimes it's producers. Um, and if you can, connect with those people, then that's great. That's how you start the relationship. So don't try to just stay home and email all the time because you're not always going to get an email back. And it's harder to foster a relationship that way. So get out there and just, meet some people, connect with some people, and see some faces. If you can find a sync agent that again reps everything, but that might be the equivalent of connecting with a library where your music will just be in thousands of the catalog of thousands where you might get picked, you might not. Whereas an agent that is specific to a certain genre and really cares about your music and likes your music will put you up for everything that they can, everything that makes sense that they can, rather than, the libraries, they just pick and choose whatever makes sense. You could have the greatest song for the perfect scene, but in a library you might not be seen, whereas an agent will advocate for you and advocate why this song should be here. Take time to get to know the agent. Don't just be like, hey, I want an agent, rep my music, because you might not get along with that agent. That agent might not like you, whatever it is. So take time, get to know the person, get to know them, like get to know the agent as a person, because like we're human. So let's figure out if we mesh and can we work together. And if you guys have a good rapport, then consider trying to work with them.